Hello, so today I'm going to be talking about why being an AC has helped me in my journey to becoming a cinematographer. The first point I'm going to make is that you learn how a DP communicates to their crew and just the way they speak to the crew, this kind of energy that they bring to the sets and how that affects other people. So you really feel how different each DP kind of sets the energy of the sets because how they act and how they feel is kind of you know felt by others, and kind of that energy is kind of spread out. So yeah, definitely learning the how effective some DPs speak to their crew, how they stay calm during situations, how they're very clear in what they want, and they're able to be friendly and kind as well. So that's very important to kind of observe. And the second point is, I think that it kind of makes you understand the importance of every role on sets. And this is whether you're being a spark or a grip trainee. But yeah, being an AC, it just helps you kind of understand that every role is very important and essential to run a set. And when you get to the point where you're DP, you understand what it's like to be in that position where you're an AC or a spark, and you know what the requirements is of your tasks and how long something would take, for example. So you're very much more of an understanding person, and you tend to be less you're not going to rush someone if they're taking a long time because you've been in that situation before. So I think you definitely become like a better leader and more understanding if you've actually been an AC before. Another point is that you learn new techniques from different DPs. Obviously, the way they light, the way they frame up shots. There's something new that every DP can teach you, and something unique that every DP has that they can show you, and you can see. You can even ask questions when it's the right time, and this just gives you a lot to kind of pick from. Some things you can take to as inspiration, and some things you can think about. What would you do differently? So yeah, I think that's great. Another thing is the equipment. Obviously, you're going to be working with a lot of high-end equipment, and this is going to be just really great, as in you're going to have a lot of experience with this high-end equipment that you'll hopefully eventually be using in the future. So I think it just also goes back to that first point of having an understanding of little things like the kit that you use, the lights, the camera, and this, when you're at the point where you're not going to be, physically actually moving lights or moving cameras, you still have an understanding of what is possible to do with the kit that you have, and the technical side of how that equipment works. My final point is that networking and meeting people is so important, especially in this industry, and being an AC is really great for networking, because you're meeting people on set, and a lot of people you meet on set are also filmmakers as well, so they're probably making their own projects, and if you reach out to them again after speaking to them on set, that could be a potential collaborator in the future that could help you grow. So it's all about the people you meet, and this is one of the best ways to meet people, which is in person, naturally, through working together on a set. So now I'm going to give you some tips for being a second AC/camera trainee, and these are just some little things that I've learned, very specific kind of things that I've made mistakes on, or something that I should have done. So the first one is when you're dealing with a client monitor, which is like a big monitor that you usually use quite oftenly, never put it face down on any kind of surface, even if you think it's soft or it's not going to damage the screen, just because there's always a risk there. So never put the monitor face down on the screen. always keep it upright. That was something very specific I learnt. Another thing is always put the filter closest to the lens in the matte box. I'm not sure why this is. I think it could be because when there's a distance between the filter and the glass, that it kind of causes more, or it's likely to cause more like distortion, or there's likely to be like reflections in there. So you always want to put the filter closest to the lens possible. And another thing is when you're having like lens kits on the floor, always keep them closed. Even if you think if you have it completely open, people will know it's being used. It's just more risky, so just keep it fully closed and keep those little hatches locked, just for safety. It's just a good habit to get into. Another thing is to kind of put the board down after every take. And when I say this is, when the director yells cut, then your first instinct is to kind of keep holding that board, but you want to find somewhere to put it down, or kind of put it on your belt and just keep your hands free, because you're likely to be asked to do stuff by your first or second. So just keep your hands free, so you're free to do any other tasks, because holding your board isn't really going to do anything. It kind of just makes you look busy, but you're not really doing anything. So just avoid that. Another common practice, this was quite obvious, is to not stand in front of the camera, unless you're doing some kind of thing that requires you to stand in front of the camera. But if you're doing that, then just be quick. It's just bad practice, because if the DP's kind of like looking through the monitor, they don't want to see any kind of obstruction or some person in the background. So always be wary of what the camera sees and trying to not be in front of it. So another thing is, specifically when you're slating, you should say the name of the slates after the sound recorder says speed. And this is like a common practice that's been done through the days of like shooting on film. It's kind of like a way to save on film, but it's just good practice to get into. So you want to state the name of the slates when they say speed, but don't clap the board. Wait for them to say mark it, then you clap the board. So that way, when they're filming with the camera, then they don't need that bit of you talking. They just need the visual information. So that's a good tip. Also, bonus for that is to direct yourself towards the microphone, so that when you say a slate, the microphone catches it the best way possible. And obviously the board is for the camera, so make sure that's in the right position. My final tip is, this is more for the end of the day after the last slate. This is kind of like, at least for me, I've been in situations where I kind of slacked a little on the end of the day, because obviously you're a bit tired. You kind of thinking about other stuff sometimes. So I made the mistake once of not being there for the crew at the end of the day, because I kind of wandered off to do some other task. But at the end of the day, the last slate, just be present, be ready, because that's when you're gonna have to do a bit of work to pack up the camera, of course, and pack up everything. So just be ready for that moment, because that's an important moment, and your first and second is definitely going to need you for that. So just be wary of that.